Le personnel de la Commission canadienne de sûreté nucléaire se rend dans les collectivités d'un bout à l'autre du Canada pour expliquer comment la CCSN réglemente le secteur nucléaire afin de préserver la santé, la sûreté et la sécurité des Canadiens et de protéger l'environnement. Pour ce faire, elle offre entre autres une séance d'information appelée CCSN 101. Voici la partie 1 de la 5e vidéo créée à partir de la séance d'information CCSN 101. Elle décrit le processus d'audience publique de la Commission et la façon dont le public peut y participer.
So I'll talk to you about the Commission Tribunal. Really, that's the public face of our business. They're all webcast. They're public meetings and hearings, so if you are licensees, I'm sure you're aware of the hearings. Jacques talked about the two processes that are covered under the Act, the hearings, which are to make specific licensing decisions, and the meetings, which are more for general information or making decisions of general application, like approval of new regulations. The Commission Tribunal has authority to, well, they have authority to make decisions for anything covered by the Act. Some of that, for the less major facilities, they've designated to designated officers. But for the major nuclear facilities in Canada, it's the Commission Tribunal that makes those decisions. Those, of course, include all the power reactors, the uranium mines and mills, the research reactors, and some of the major other facilities that are involved in activities regulated by the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. Typically, the public hearings take place in a 1 or 2 day process. Really, there's no difference between the two, except that in a 2 day process, the presentations by the proponent and the recommendations by the staff of the CNSC are on 1 day, so that and then the next day that gives interveners or interested members of the public an opportunity to review the material presented there, and they make their submissions to the Commission on that second day. And I'll get into the process a little bit later. Typically, the participation in the hearings is in person, but the Commission also reviews written submissions. There's no obligation to actually appear and present in front of the Commission. And I should note on occasion, although the intent is to be as transparent as possible, some public meetings do consider, obviously the Commission needs to make decisions on, for example, nuclear security matters. So if that does happen, they'll typically run through the full proceeding and then go in camera to hear information of a more secure nature that can't be broadcast publicly. So if you ever hear of the Commission going in camera, it just basically means everybody's kicked out, cameras are turned off, and then they have those discussions in a more secure environment. The public hearings are designed, the process for the public hearings are outlined in the rules of procedure, and they're really designed to ensure, to be as transparent as possible in their regulatory process. Down below you'll see the process for a 2 day public hearing. Generally, when you hear about power reactors, major mines, that's generally heard in a 2 day public hearing. And the first step would be a public notice. That's obviously posted on our website. It's issued to all the subscribers, which will now include everybody in this room, to our website. But it's also, in order to reach the broadest audience possible, the Commission takes out advertisements in local newspapers, in some cases in national newspapers, to ensure that, to make the broadest, to reach the broadest amount of stakeholders as possible. That typically happens about 2 months before the day 1 hearing. 30 days prior, CNSC staff submit their recommendations to the Commission Tribunal. And although, if you haven't watched, I encourage you to watch them, they are webcast. But it may appear that the licensees and the CNSC present to the Commission and sell their case. And an important thing to keep in mind when you're watching this is that the proponents obviously have an interest in the proceedings. The staff are objective. They have no interest in the outcomes, but they only review to make sure that what's being done and what's being proposed is done safely. And they'll make that recommendation to the Commission Tribunal, generally outlining the oversight that they've done, the reviews that they've done, and the outcomes of those reviews. and making a recommendation to the Commission Tribunal that they either approve or deny the request. So those become public about 30 days prior. They're not posted on our website, but if you are interested in a specific matter, you can express that interest to the Secretariat, who is the, basically the administrative support around the hearings for the Commission Tribunal. And they can provide you with any meeting, any information that is presented during a public hearing. On day one hearing, the proponent and the CNSC staff make representations to the Commission Tribunal. The information would have all been submitted prior to the day one, the core information, but they do make a presentation typically to the Commission Tribunal to make their case and outline the measures that they have to ensure the safety of their activities. That's, of course, done in a public hearing, open to the public who wish to attend. It's held in this room, but also webcast on our website, live webcast. They're done with simultaneous translation, sometimes it matters, and they're heard in the language, official language of the choice of the proponent for that matter. Then once staff and the proponents have presented their information, there'll be a series of Q&As with the Commission Tribunal. And once that concludes, then approximately 60 days are given for interveners, which are generally members of the public who are interested in this facility that may live in the vicinity of the facility, to review that material and make representations to the tribunal to present their points of views. Those are due 30 days before the second day of the hearing. And on the second day, although there may be some additional information that had been requested in day one by staff and the proponent, typically the focus of that day is to allow interveners to present their views and their opinions on the matter before the Commission. So supplementary information, sometimes new things have come to light, new events, new information becomes available, and to ensure there is a provision that allows for the Commission to receive that information in a more timely manner. So that's what supplementary information is. The day two hearing, I mentioned how that goes, and it's if you really had to pick between one and you're really torn, watch the day two. That's when the really interesting discussions take place. After the hearings, the Commission go back. Oh, one thing I should add about the day two, I mentioned about oral presentations and written presentations. And there's often the sense, at least the feeling that the Commission, if you're not there to present in person, to present your views in person, that the Commission won't give equal weight. I can assure you, having sort of participated in these Commission hearings, that they read and they review all the information before you, and they do it very thoroughly. They'll often delve into very obscure and specific issues related to a matter that I couldn't have foreseen that they would go into that level of detail. So they do review all the material. If you are ever presenting an oral submission to the Commission, keep in mind they know every word that's in your written submission. So use the opportunity, generally 10 minutes, which is given to interveners in the matter. Use the opportunity to really hit the key, most important points that you want to reiterate and highlight with the Commission Tribunal. One thing I didn't add about this is often, particularly for two-day hearings, the day two will be held in the local area around the facility, because typically that's where most of the interested parties live. Were there any questions about the two-day hearing process, about public hearings in general? It's obviously a very important part of our business, so there's a lot of effort that goes in to support these. And it really is a public face. If you're interested in the work, that's a place to see it. So I mentioned that the hearings are governed by the rules of procedure. They basically, the key principle, a lot of it is process, times for notices, but generally the thing to keep in mind is the Commission has an obligation to deal with matters fairly, transparently, and expeditiously. So sometimes they may vary the rules of procedure to deal with the matter more expeditiously. you know, the Darlington hearings, if you were watching those for the new reactor, they actually developed their own specific rules of procedure specific to that hearing because it was such a significant matter and so many interested parties. So although it lays out generally how it works, there's often cases that are very specific in the interest of procedural fairness and transparency and expeditious. They may vary from time to time.